Martin Brody is the new police chief of Amity Island, and he is heading into his first summer season. When he suspects a shark has invaded their waters, he wrestles with small-town politics and his own fear of the ocean. As the death toll rises, he sets out to kill the beast once and for all with Hooper, a research scientist, and Quint, an eccentric shark killer. Together they will face the ocean. They will face each other. And they will face Jaws. Welcome to Movie Friends. My name is Seth.
And I'm Michelle.
Today, we are talking about Jaws from 1975. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Written by Carl Gottlieb and Peter Benchley. Cinematography by Bill Butler. Composed by John Williams. Edited by Verna Fields. Special effects by Robert Matty. Starring Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, Robert Shaw, Lorraine Gary, and Murray Hamilton. Michelle.
Seth.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
During this episode, I'm just going to randomly look at you and start singing farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
And I will just listen because I don't know the words. But I would love to be sung too, so continue.
And then I'll just interrupt you. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so nevermore shall we, we'll see you again. Something like that.
I'll chime in.
How do you feel about the shanties?
I mean, I wouldn't mind if I knew one.
Sure. Shanty is a word, it's like you've got a shanty song, a sea shanty.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got shanty town, which I think is like a town made of poorly constructed little homes.
I don't think I know a shanty town.
Yeah, shanty town.
I don't know.
I'm a big, English, we always, English speakers, we always talk about how a word can have like 10 meanings.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then I love the words that just, we only use one specific time and never again.
Which is?
Well, like shanty.
Yeah, but aren't we using it twice because you just proved that example?
But not to you because you didn't know shantytown.
But now?
Hey, before we get into anything, shout out to Ryan who signed up for Patreon this week.
Hey, Ryan, welcome.
Thank you so much. That was a nice surprise as I was going about my day and I was just so down in the dumps. I was like, what is my life?
Yeah. And then that came through.
And then that came through and I was like, my life has meaning.
Wow. A star.
So thank you very much. And if you want to give our life meaning, please feel free to join Ryan and the other people who've signed up. Patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. And Michelle, the full feature length movie.
Oh my God.
Is out that you edited.
I know. Guys, our live show.
You're a regular Verna Fields.
Thank you so much. Our live recording of Space Jam is available on our Patreon. It's an hour and 45 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it includes like a short film. Wow.
Yep. We did something different with this one.
Yes.
You can sign up and get access to it along with all of our stuff, but you can also purchase it individually. So if you're like, you know what, I'm not into the whole thing, whatever, that's fine. You can just pay for this. And the short film that starts the live show, just that took Michelle and I 8 hours.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering, why would I pay for this? You're not. You're just paying to support us.
Yeah, just to like support two artists, please.
Yes.
We would appreciate it. But
yeah,
I feel like there's one day I would love to do like a behind the scenes of our show.
Oh my God.
Because there's so much people do not know. Like, literally everything is so connected, and if you knew the behind the scenes, maybe you wouldn't care. You
Interesting.
might not, but everything is layered and connected, and there's a reason why we did everything we did.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Twists and turns. And if you've seen the live show, please do not give away the secret.
Yeah, don't
ending.
spoil it. Which you
Yeah.
might think, like, how could a recording on Space Jam have a spoiler?
Oh,
There's a spoiler.
Literally, it's designed to be watched twice, which is so stupid. And probably no one will ever do. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, yes. So, thank you so much, Ryan. And great job to Michelle for editing.
Thanks.
You learned, what did you learn?
Adobe Premiere Pro. Yeah.
Adobe Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
You got your big old hard drive.
Oh my God, the cutest thing ever.
Working
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Guys, it's the size, it's like smaller than my palm.
Wow.
I know, I feel like,
palm.
You know, on my work meeting yesterday during our happies and crappies, this was my happy.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah. I shared my hard drive as my happy. I brought that to my job. Now we do that on our bi-weekly meetings. We do our happies and crappies.
Very cool. And hey, much like Michelle's job, we're trying to spread happies and crappies. So if you listen to this episode, please be sure to tweet at us, #happies and crappies, and let us know what you thought of Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle's hand is so small that if it was a palm tree, it would be a palm shrub.
No. It's like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, I was gonna tell that joke at the time, and I just could not let it go. Speaking of someone who can't let it go, we got an email.
Oh, yes, we did. Let me pull that up. Seth is passing the torch this week, and he's letting me read it. I mean, how honored I am to read an email.
What's the subject line?
Following up about the chaps. Oh, gosh.
Ooh.
Okay. Dear Movie Friends podcast hosts, Michelle and Seth. Wow.
Very specific.
Very specific.
Just in case someone else is checking our inbox.
All chaps are assless. That's what makes them chaps and not pants. If you have a pair of ass chaps, they're not chaps. They're just trousers. Best regards, Skylar. P.S. I no longer think Michelle needs to watch Megalopolis. SimCity is exactly the right vibe. She gets it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, thank you, Skylar. Thank you for filling me in. I mean, I think I did know that. I just kept saying assless chaps.
Sure.
How is this episode been revisited?
I know.
What's going on? Why are people listening?
We've gotten 2 emails in the last month about our episode on Mad Max 2 Fury Road.
It's a year old.
It's a funny episode and a great movie, quite frankly.
Yeah. What were you going to say? I cut you off.
I was going to say that I don't know that I think a chap. Speaking of words that mean different things, you got your chapped lips and then a chap, a bloke, a fellow,
That's
a
right.
gent, and a lad.
Right.
Yeah. But I feel like a chap is more about that it's leather and that it covers you. Because when you're out in the woods and you're chainsawing, you wear chaps. You wear chainsaw chaps in case as you're cutting, the chainsaw cuts away and you strike your thigh. It doesn't go straight into your leg. I've done my fair share of chainsawing.
You've worn chainsaw chaps?
I haven't worn them. No. But I know they exist. Probably because as I was doing it, someone was like, you should really be wearing chainsaw chaps.
But they probably would just cover your legs and the butt is out.
It's true. My butt might still be out, yeah. Hey, what a good name for a band. Maybe like a horror themed band. The Chainsaw Chaps.
I like that. The Chainsaw Chaps.
Thanks, Skylar.
Thank you.
Hey, if you want to be like Skylar, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about Jaws and this episode. Oh, what a monumentous episode.
You keep saying that, and I'm just like, it's just Jaws.
No, there is no just Jaws.
No, this
Jaws is
podcast
like,
is just Jaws.
well, yeah, I mean,
Just Jaws.
yes.
We could treat it that way.
We could. And I do have a disclaimer. But before we do our disclaimer, I think that we should write down our guesses.
Oh,
So on this show, if you're listening for the first time, or if you're listening and you just don't pay that much attention, before we talk about a movie, we guess what each other are going to rate the movie. You know, on Movie Friends, we really don't talk to each other a ton about the movie before we record. And I think with Jaws, have we said anything?
I sent you a screenshot of an outfit I liked, and that's about it.
Okay.
So there you go, friends. That's how much is discussed.
That's the extent. Yeah. So we're talking about Jaws really for the first time. All right.
I'm struggling.
I'm struggling too because I guessed you like on the button last week.
Well, I mean,
So,
last week was so special.
Invisible Man.
Did you,
All right.
let me ask, wait.
Yeah.
Did you go conservative or you went loosey-goosey?
I think I'm going a little conservative.
Okay, me
on
too.
this one.
I just need, I want to be on theme, you know?
Yeah.
Locked in.
I'm locked in too. Also, normally on the show, we would record our pre-watch thoughts, but you and I have both seen Jaws before, and I thought about recording my pre-watch thoughts, but instead, I'm just going to give this quick disclaimer. All right? Listen. If you want to hear all of the background information about Jaws, there's actually a book. Carl Gottlieb, the guy who wrote this and was on set rewriting the script each day, he made a book called like Jaws Diary or The Diary of Jaws or something. Go straight to the source. Also, just type into Google Jaws behind the scene facts. You know what? You're going to find so much cool stuff, but I feel like when people talk about Jaws, they just talk about the behind the scenes stuff. And so you and I will, but I want to talk about this movie, not just all of the behind the scenes stuff, because there's no way that we can even begin to capture all of that because there's just so much to the movie.
Yeah, did you see that Wondery has a whole series on like just behind the scenes on Jaws?
I believe it. This movie shot for
Yeah.
like half a year.
Yeah. There's a lot to say about it behind the scenes wise, and even just watching it as a common viewer.
You know, it's got a similar trajectory of The Godfather in that it's a book, and the book was optioned for a film before the book is even released. You give it to this up and coming director. It's a total disaster of a production, and people are like, oh my God, what is this going to be? And how is this going to turn out? It ends up costing more and going longer. And then it's this huge, massive, crazy success and would go on to like change how Americans make movies.
Should we also mention that like we're wrapping up Monst-ober?
Well, you know, this episode was submitted and voted on by our patrons. Jaws blurs the lines on some things.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say this is not a horror movie. I don't agree with that, by the way.
Yeah, after my rewatch, I think this is definitely a horror movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then some people will say, well, this isn't quite a creature feature, so it's not quite a monster. It lives in these different channels and these different areas.
Muddy waters.
Muddy waters, that's right. And so when this got voted in, this was pretty different from a lot of the other options that had been submitted for monster movies. But you noticed something that I didn't even put two and two together when you started the movie.
Yeah, that it's a Universal film.
Yes.
This is essentially a Universal monster movie.
Absolutely.
And so then I felt better about it because I have to be honest with you, when this came through, I was a little disappointed because I wanted to stay in what we've been covering, the Universal monster movies.
Yes.
And it was my selfish thought. And I was like, Jaws doesn't fit the theme to me. Jaws feels like it should be with King Kong and Anaconda. But I'm after thinking about it and then realizing, oh, this actually is a Universal movie. And then coming off of Creature from the Black Lagoon and then watching like the influence in this,
Yeah. Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, this actually works. And yeah, I think it makes for interesting conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's curious to me why people are unwilling to call this a horror movie, because when you hear people talk about having seen this movie, all anyone says is how much it freaked them out as a
Right. They won't
kid.
go in the water. It's their
Yeah.
biggest fear.
It
Yeah.
terrified them. This movie literally had beach attendance down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people legit were like, I don't want to go to the beach. I'm curious to see like sunscreen sales from 1974 to 1975 to see if there's like a dip.
Mm.
But I think, and you tell me how you feel, but I feel like this is two movies.
For sure.
There's the horror movie first part, and then there's the high seas adventure second part.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of horror and blood and scariness in the second part too. But I feel like the 4th of July beach attack, that feels like the end of a horror movie. That's like the culmination scene of like everything is gearing towards 4th of July, right? That's what everybody's talking about. It's a big important weekend, and then we're here, and then it's like all the crap hits the fan. And normally, a B creature feature would have 20 minutes left, and then it would be over. But this one is like, actually, now we're hitting the high seas.
We got to catch that shark.
So my first question for you is skinny dipping.
Absolutely not.
Oh, really?
We've discussed this somewhere.
I don't know.
The idea of things swimming up my parts and holes,
Yeah.
not a
Yeah.
fan.
But I don't think that happens. I feel like the human body just...
The thing is, you have an out and like I have an in hole. So it's just a cave. It's just a cave to go spelunking, and I can't.
But that can't be how it works.
I mean, why not? Why couldn't some little microorganism swim up there and make a nice little home?
Well, microorganism, that can happen to anybody.
Well, right, but like I'm saying, that's where my mind goes. It's just something's swimming up there.
Right.
My holes are exposed.
Right. Yeah. I've done it before.
Yeah. Have you done it in a ocean, lake, pool?
Ocean, pool.
Oh, wow. You're a frequent.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a frequent.
You're a frequent nudie.
No, I don't think I'm a frequent.
He's a frequent nudie.
That's two times.
Hey, that's more than me.
That I remember.
What?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like you can't remember every time you've gone skinny dipping. Plus, for a dude, it's so much easier.
Right.
Because you just slip off the trunks. There's only one skinny to dip.
That's...
I'm going to start saying that instead of going swimming. I'm like, I'm going out to skinny dip in the skinny.
And I'm going to start using a frequent nudie around. Yeah. But yeah, no, I actually haven't like been asked either. You've never been around people that are like, let's do it.
Right. So, that's the thing. Both times, it wasn't me. I wasn't like, all right, I'm going to do this.
You weren't leading the movement?
No, that is something I would have done when I was younger, though. I was really wild when I was younger.
Yeah.
No, but both times it was just like, hey, we're all going to do this. And again, it's easy. You just slip them off. I mean, if as a dude, if your waist is below the water, who knows what's happening?
That's true. And it's just so easy. And I feel like it's when I see in movies and TV, when like a group of girls will go skinny dipping, I feel like they are just taking off articles of clothing while running.
And that's what happens in this.
Right. And it looks so liberating, but I don't like to be nude. And so if I were to strip, I'd be like it would take forever. By the time I got nude and made it, everyone would be out.
You would want a barrel with suspenders?
That's correct. That's correct. That's the only way of doing it.
Okay, all right.
Get me
When
my
is that going to
barrel.
make a comeback?
When is that coming back?
All fashion comes back around, but we've yet to see a resurgence of the barrel with suspenders. Surprisingly. So yeah, Chrissy, this opening, very iconic. And I will say, how wild is it to have an opening credit scene with Steven Spielberg, title card, directed by, and it's just kind of like, same size and as everyone else's names, and it's just kind of like, okay, not very distinguished from anything. So yeah, Chrissy and this dude, it's weird because they're making eyes at each other, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
But they appear to speak for like 10 seconds, and then Chrissy just takes off.
Yeah.
So what are they saying in that 10 seconds?
Like, I'm being playful, follow me. Let's do this.
Okay.
But she also doesn't wait. She's like, I'm going to do this either way.
Right.
It'd be fun if you join me. Hurry up.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe Chrissy was like, I'm going skinny dipping tonight.
Yeah. I want to feel the ocean.
Is it pre-dawn? Is that what's happening here? It's hard to tell, right?
I know. I think it's pre-dawn. That would make more sense, I think.
Okay.
Like we stayed up all night around the fire, drinking, having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So horrifying scene.
Yeah.
Very upsetting.
Yeah.
You have seen Jaws before.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both grew up on Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Jaws and the beach, it's like part of the culture,
Yeah.
How many times have you seen Jaws? Do you remember your first time seeing it? What is your experience with this?
Okay, so I've seen Jaws once.
Okay.
And it was probably, I don't know, like 12 years ago.
Okay.
So not that long ago, really.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's it. And then, of course, I've been on the ride. I have to mention that.
Of course.
And I jumped, of course. I mean, it's this fake
what
shark
does that mean?
jump scare. Like, I'm a very, very easily scared person. Or, what's the word? It's easily scared, but like easily reactive. You could scare me very easily and you're going to get a reaction out of me and my body's just going to like jump and shake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's my Jaws history. And so last night or 2 nights ago was the second time of me.
So did you just like watch it at home when you?
Anthony and I watched it together.
Oh, okay.
12 years ago.
And do you remember like liking it? Did it freak you out?
I remember liking it, but I remember nothing. I mean, shocker. Remember nothing. Yeah. And I remember being like impressed with it. And being like, wow, this is actually scary. But in terms of like story, no. And of course, like growing up, I knew the music. I mean, the John Williams score.
Yeah.
You emulated and.
Yeah. I never saw Jaws as a kid, and I even knew. Doom, doom.
Sure. Right.
Doom, doom.
What about you? Did you grow up watching this?
No. I think I've talked about on the show before. I really don't like the water. I really don't like swimming.
You've made that clear.
If I never had to submerge my body in water again.
Yet you have skinny dipped.
Well, if you're gonna dip, you might as well
do it skinny.
What a stupid grouping of words.
I know, it's really bad. Honestly, it just makes me want like a dipped ice cream cone.
Oof, I know.
Right?
Know. The chocolate covered the dip.
Yeah,
oh,
so
man,
good.
Yeah. Skinny Dip would be a good name for a froyo dip ice cream place.
Yeah. Froyo was such a thing years ago. It was.
Oh.
You had your red mango, and I feel like every shopping plaza had
this is
Froyo.
A world I'm unfamiliar with.
Oh, well, on Long Island, it was a big deal. Anyway.
So, not a big fan of beach movies, water movies, boat movies, shark movies. As I've also said many times, not the biggest fan of Spielberg movies. And as I've also said, I really avoided big popular movies when I was younger. So I was like, Jaws, that's a combination of 3 things I have no interest in. And so I watched Jaws for the first time within the last few years.
Oh, wow.
And the main reason that I wanted to watch Jaws was because of Roy Scheider.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Roy Scheider rules. Roy
Okay.
Scheider is in 2 of the best movies I've ever seen. One is All That Jazz,
Mhm.
and 2 is Sorcerer.
Mm.
And you might think that Sorcerer is about magicians. It is not.
I have no idea what that's about. So
Yeah. So when I put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh, Scheider's in this. I'll give it a shot. And I liked it. I rated it 3.5 stars, which for me means like that's a
you're
movie that
giving your rating away?
well, that's my original rating.
Oh, right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Plus, you've already locked in.
I know, but like,
Yeah.
it's like being spoiled, you know? And talk
Well,
about another word that's used in multiple
true.
ways.
Very true. And well, there's SPOILED, and then there's SPOILT. There's spoiled, and then there's spoilt.
They're spoiled?
Oh yeah.
I've
Oh yeah.
never heard of spoiled.
Send us
Spoiled?
an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Subject line: spoilt.
What does it mean?
Let the people tell you. So I was pleased to like not absolutely hate it, you know? I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I can't hate Jaws. This will be a disaster. And I liked it. I thought it was great. So revisiting it this time around, I was glad to do so.
Did you watch it with your kids? Are you letting them watch this?
My one son is 11, and so many people that I've heard talk about this movie say that they watched it when they were 5, 6, 7,
Yeah.
young. So I was like, you know what? Here we go. He's 11. We're going to do it. And he got maybe like an hour into it, and he's like, I'm going to go to bed.
Oh,
So just not gripped by Jaws.
okay. That's good. Instead of
Yeah.
like instilling a fear.
Well, and he said, he's given this whole big speech to me before we start the movie. He's like, you know, people call them horror movies, but it really doesn't bother me. I'm not afraid from movies. So I'm retorting with like, well, it's okay to be afraid by movies. You don't need to pretend
Right.
not to be. That's
Right.
what their intention. And so I'm like going back. He's like, no, they don't scare me.
Wow.
And then in my head, I'm like, well, I'm about to put on frickin' Jaws. So
Yeah.
let's see.
Let's test this,
Let's see
kid.
how you do. Yeah. But anyway, all back to Chrissy. It's very upsetting. It's not just scary, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel?
It's disturbing. And it happens so quickly. And then we have the abrupt change of music and scenery where you're almost like, wait, what? And so I like that we're thrown into it, but also is extremely disturbing.
Yeah. When she goes down for the final time and the music just cuts.
Yeah.
And then it's just peaceful, quiet water again.
Right.
One other thing similar to the Universal monster movies with this is pretty much when the monster's dead, the movie ends.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a whole big wrap up of them coming home and cheering and
this is
hugging
the
your
same.
wife and kids.
This is like hope. Well, we got to swim to shore.
Yeah.
I like the water now.
Yeah, I used to be scared of the water. Can't imagine why.
I'm still. I feel like I should save my thoughts, but like I'm still unsure about that ending.
Oh yeah, give it.
Well,
Let's
I'm
talk
like,
about
is
it.
this great or is this like?
It's a little bit of a corny button.
It's like seize the day. Toodles goes out the window. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Hook.
right. So Carl Gottlieb, he's a comedy writer. He's a comedian. He's got a history in improv, working with the Smothers Brothers. He's like a funny dude, and he's hired on to rewrite this initial treatment / script. According to him, there never was like a set Jaws script. That like Benchley and Spielberg kind of worked something out, and that's the version he was given. And his response to it was, you need to eviscerate this script. Some of the stuff does play pretty funny, and not to say that he's only writing humorous stuff, because he's not, definitely, But that final line does feel kind of like okay, all right. And he mentioned, he was like, I was writing the stuff that was on camera. I was writing the stuff that was being ADR'd.
Wow.
They're editing this movie as they're going and
Mm.
just having so much difficulty doing it. And he said one of the best things about that whole thing was there was no time for rewrites. He was like, I would write something and they were shooting it the next day.
Wow.
I listened to 2 interviews with him on Gilbert Gottfried's podcast, and they were very, very informative and fun. He was a really funny dude. He actually went on to write Jaws 2 and 3.
Oh, really? Have you seen those?
I have not, no.
We could have done that for our sequels month,
Yeah. 2 is okay, and then 3 is, I guess, something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about Roy Scheider.
Well, your fave, apparently.
Martin Brody.
Yeah.
Chief of Police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's listening to him.
Nobody's listening to him, but also he's not throwing his weight around that much.
Well, he's new, right?
Yeah.
He's from the city.
Yep.
Trying to get his bearings. I think he knows that his voice is not going to project. And trying to... It's like a fine line of trying to work with the townspeople, and especially the mayor, Larry, who's the real villain in this. Some might say the shark, but I think it's Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, this, the Little Miss dolls, like the
yes.
This movie is Little Miss Anxiety.
Interesting.
This whole movie is just, this movie is Little Miss Anticipatory Anxiety, because that's what I had this entire time rewatching it. The entire time I had anticipatory anxiety. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you think Brody should have done more in the beginning? He's not being heard.
It's tough. It's tough to say because, the coroner goes back on his original report.
Yeah.
And so if he felt like there was some like really big conspiracy, and he had proof, maybe I would feel differently. But I feel like at least initially the first kid who dies after they know about Chrissy, I don't think he would have his kids on the beach if he didn't believe the coroner. And we know that there's something in the back of his head that's still being vigilant. But I think he's trying to like tell himself or convince himself like, no, it's fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I am overreacting.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's one thing for being on the beach than going into the water. You can stay on the beach. I'm like, why don't we just play like beach volleyball? Why don't we do other events? And like for a long time, people are not going into the water. I mean, he even tells his own son, like, go into the pond.
Right. I think this movie has a lot of strengths, but one of them is there is so much really genius dialogue happening in the background of conversations. For example, when Scheider goes to the little general store to get paint and paintbrushes, the dude at the counter is talking about how they haven't received the stuff that he ordered yet. And he complains saying like, oh, if this stuff doesn't come in before the ginks get here. And I was like, okay, is this like some racial slur? Like what's happening here? And it's just like a dumb person, like a stupid person. And you said the mayor is the villain. I think the true villain of this movie is the townspeople.
Well, they're a seasonal town. And tourism is a huge part of their income.
Yes. But the way that they talk about the tourists, and even Chrissy, later on, she's described as a summer girl.
Yeah.
Not from there.
Right.
They don't care that she's dead. It's not until their own family members, and it's not until the mayor in the hospital says, my kids were on the beach too.
Yeah.
That he's like, okay, fine, I'll pay Quint.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every decision is made to just get these people's money. Doesn't matter if it's not safe for them. We need them here to make us money.
Well, yeah. That's their livelihood.
Yeah. And so with Scheider, He is new. I think that you could write out every line of dialogue in the first 40 minutes of this movie, and almost every single thing would be for a specific purpose. There's almost no like throwaway lines, even though there's so much double talking and over talking and overhearing. You know, he mentions when he wakes up, he says, "Oh, the sun wasn't always here." And his wife
Mhm.
says, "Well, we bought the house in the fall and it's summer now."
Mhm.
So how long have they actually been there? Did they buy the house
Mhm.
in the late fall and they've only been there a few months?
Mhm.
It doesn't give the sense that this is his first day on the job or like his first week, but this
Yeah,
is
but
his
I think it's
first
a
summer.
holiday. It's the first
Yeah.
summer, and so that's the busy season.
Yeah. And then when his wife is on the beach talking, she says, "Well, when will I be an islander?" And they flat out say, "Never.
Yeah,
You have
never.
to be born here."
Right. Right.
And when they're talking to the boy that was with Chrissy, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm an islander. You know, I was born here. My parents were born here. I don't live here anymore, but I'm an islander." And so
Mhm.
it's like, well, let's protect this boy because
Mhm.
he is one of us.
Mhm.
And it feels like the townspeople are fishing themselves. Like the town is a net that
Mhm.
they're capturing the money and the tourists in,
Mhm.
and they look down on them and they despise them and they don't like them, but they need them.
Sure. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like living on Long Island, we experienced that out east and in Montauk. And
sure. Yeah,
when Ant worked out in the Hamptons, I mean, all he did was complain about the tourists that would come out because of the traffic and because of
yeah,
the people who lived in those houses. And I think this is a very relatable thing if you live near a town like this.
right. Yeah, I'm from Port Jeff, Long
Yeah.
Island,
Yeah.
and during the summer,
Forget about it.
the ferry comes down and just unloads all these people from, New England, and the town just is overwhelmed and comes alive, and there's businesses that open only for those times. I mean, my girlfriend all through high school worked at one of the ice cream stores, and she would be there till 1:30 in the morning. One
Mhm.
time Krista and I went to pick her up. This is totally irrelevant,
Mhm.
and we sang the entirety of 99 bottles of beer
Nice.
sitting waiting for her to get off work.
Wow.
And then, in the wintertime, in the spring, you can go downtown and walk around and hang out, and there's nobody there. And
It's
so
great. It's glorious.
it's pretty awesome, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I definitely related a lot to it. And like Scheider, he's trying to not upset the apple cart while also knowing that there's danger.
Yeah.
There's two times in the movie when he like really, really smiles. It's when they catch the shark that they think is
Yep.
the big shark.
The tiger shark.
And then when he actually kills the shark. And it's so different from a horror movie with like a ghost or something, because this is a shark. Like they're killing, and so once the shark is dead, all of his fears are relieved. He's like, "Yeah, great, it's over."
Yeah.
Scheider has my favorite line / moment in the movie.
Oh, yeah? What is it?
Mm-hmm. It's when he's at the table and his little kid is like
Oh.
mimicking his movements,
Mhm.
and then he leans into the kid and says, "Give us a kiss."
Yeah.
And the
I
kid
need
says,
this.
"Why?" He says, "Because I need it."
Yeah.
And that is also very relatable because as a parent, your kids have like a supernatural ability to cheer you up, but become you don't want them to become just like emotional support for you. Like you can't go to your kids all the time like, "I'm having such a bad day, please kiss me." You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you can do that, but eventually that exchange becomes a little lopsided and strange, and so
Yeah.
you revel in it when it happens and you're so appreciative of it. But I just love that moment because like that's the point that he's brought to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Lorraine Gary plays his wife, Ellen Brody.
Mhm.
How'd you feel about her?
She was okay. I mean, I feel like she was supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I found it interesting because I felt like she was pretty tuned into what was happening until he kept what when Hooper comes over with the wine.
Mm-hmm.
and shares about like, you and I both know that's not the right shark that they caught.
Mm-hmm.
And she just had no idea.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think that was an interesting moment of to see Brody like battling of like, what am I going to share with my family? I don't know what to do. I don't want to scare, but like deep down inside, I do believe this, ocean guy that I got here from the Institute. What'd you think about her?
I think she's great. I mean, Spielberg is always talking about family, and he's always talking about parents.
Yep.
And the strained relationship between a parent and their child because of their responsibilities in life. And I sent out a tweet a few days ago saying that I have come around on his film The Fabelmans that he made. That's a very loose autobiographical movie about him and his parents and why they got divorced and what they were like. And at the time that I saw it, I was just like, Steven, please. He called it $40 million worth of therapy or something like that. But rewatching Jaws and seeing Scheider's character, who I feel like doesn't say a lot, but there's just so much happening there. For example, when he wakes up and the phone rings, he picks up the wrong phone. There's two phones, one on top of the other, and one is their house phone, and the other one is a direct line from the police department. So he goes to pick up the house phone. Why? Because even though he's been there for a few months, he doesn't get called at home. Nothing happens
Right.
on this island.
Right. Yeah.
And so like the two phone thing is it's like a visual signal of this struggle that he's having with later on when Ellen says, oh, he's going to be so scared. He's never going to want to go in the water. And even though Brody hates the water and he doesn't go in the water, he says, that's not what I want for him.
Mm-hmm.
Brody buys him a boat for his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
He says it's only an island if you look at it from the water. He's doing all of these mental things to get his family out of New York City and into this nice place. It's not a place that he wants to be. It's not a place that he loves being, but he's like doing it for his family. And so, yeah, I feel like it's so well written, everything around him and Ellen. And then, she likes him and she's not like, when are you coming home? And
no, she's like, take a break and let's fool around.
Yeah.
Our kids can be outside. No big deal. I don't need to know where my small children are.
She hops on the swing with the kid when he leaves for work.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
So I already mentioned him, Richard Dreyfuss as Hooper.
The
independently wealthy, shark-obsessed young buck.
Yeah.
Who has experience, but maybe a little wet behind the ears, as they say.
That's an interesting phrase. I don't know if I've ever heard that.
Oh, yeah.
No, I mean, this is a known thing. I don't know phrases. We know this by now.
Yeah, you're wet behind the ears. I don't know what that means. I don't know why that implies that you're new.
I'm going to write that down too. I have spoilt, and wet behind the ears. Yep. I'm learning a lot tonight.
I don't really have a lot on Hooper. There's some good scenes with Hooper.
Yeah, I think the one that a couple surprised me, but when he goes to the coroner.
Yeah.
And is like, I want to see this bite in this situation that happened and how he's nauseous.
Yeah.
And needs a glass of water, but he also very much knows what he's talking about. And also do not smoke in here.
Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also love seeing that limb. So that was fun.
Yeah, it's a really good bit of acting.
It's really good. Yeah.
Where he's just talking and then he sees it and he goes through a wave of anger, sickness, but still trying to do his documentating.
Yep.
And then as soon as he's done, he's like, you've called the Coast Guard, right? What do you do? Like, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
I do like when he shows up and this felt so real. He just kind of jokes and he's like, so how was your day?
Mm-hmm.
And this is after a lot of bad stuff has happened. Like, but sometimes in those moments, you're still like, just you're still you, and it felt very real.
What did you think of him bringing 2 bottles of wine and not another choice of liquor? Or alcohol, rather.
I think it makes sense later on when you realize that he's like a rich boy.
That's right.
Because he says, he's like, oh, I brought 2 bottles of wine because I didn't know what you'd be serving.
Right. I mean,
I'm
that's...
like, what on earth?
Especially, like, you're a young dude in your 20s. You're probably bringing a beer or whiskey or something. But to bring a red and a white is such an interesting choice.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I love the line when he's gonna go down into the shark cage and he just says, I don't have any spit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's so scared.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they find Bob whoever's boat, and he's like, hold on, I just want to go check out the hull. Hold on. Nothing will happen.
Well, first off, they're drunk and they're like, let's go on the boat and let's do this. I was so anxious at this point, and then when the head pops, I jumped. I literally squealed and jumped.
Yeah, it's very scary.
I couldn't believe it. That it got me.
And at this point, people are dying.
Yes.
Now, here, I don't want to forget to say this, so I'm just going to say it now. One of the things that I just rail on Spielberg about is his sentimentality. And we just covered Hook, and we talked about that at great length. This is close to like no sentiment here. A child dies.
Yeah, I can't believe they killed the kid.
Chrissy is either a teenager or a young college student.
Yeah.
And she doesn't die. She dies gruesomely, but she dies there's like so much raw humanity. She's like praying as she's dying.
Yeah.
In this moment, Hooper really could die.
I know.
And so it's very scary.
Yeah, like
nobody is safe.
Nobody's safe in this
Nobody
is safe in this. There's no rules.
Yeah. And originally Hooper was going to die in the shark attack, the shark cage attack.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have just been, Brody, last man standing.
I'm glad he doesn't die.
Yeah. Dreyfuss, I feel like I don't want to say he's like one of the more forgettable parts, but between the 3 leads at the end, I'm like, okay, like you're serving your purpose, but you're definitely a cast player in this movie.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. Hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about nails on a chalkboard?
We could edit that. And we could just have you ringing a bell. We could just have you eating. We could just have you whistling. We could just have you singing a shanty.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. You just get that from the back of the room.
That's right. Yeah. We don't need the nails on the chalkboard.
The nails on the chalkboard is disgusting.
It's so disturbing. I mean, who likes that sound? Nobody likes that sound.
Question.
But, yeah.
Did Quint draw that shark on the board?
Well, I was going to ask you that.
Well, they weren't paying attention.
I mean, it makes sense. It's at the level of it's like in the corner next to where he's sitting. So he drew that and then waited till they were like in an uproar and then did the nails on the chalkboard.
He's like, I need a visual guide to go along with my oration for when they turn around. Let me draw this shark.
Here's this cartoon shark.
Yeah, if you went back, I'm sure you could. The shark was probably on the board already, but it's it's funny to me to think.
It is funny. He's just back there.
Yeah, let him go on. And that's actually what he was waiting for. He was like, I gotta finish this shark before I do my nail on the chalkboard thing. Okay, I'm ready. Go.
And it goes on for so long.
Too long.
I couldn't even look, so I didn't even really get a good visual. How long are his fingernails?
Not that long.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it had to be added. That sound had to be added in later.
No, of course, but I'm thinking logistically. Like right now, could your nails do it?
Oh, no. Oh, God, I'm like...
Yeah, we got it.
This is giving me the chills.
My teeth hurt. My teeth hurt, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Robert Shaw as Quint. Great. I think my favorite part of the movie.
Really?
Yep.
He's just obvious to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, that's not a bad that's not a bad thing. He's just like, I don't know, typical? I'm drawing a blank on a better word.
Does he feel like a caricature to you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I think that he is. He's like a whole big old character,
Yeah.
where Scheider feels like a little nuanced cop
Yes.
dad,
Yeah.
And even Hooper, it's like, oh, you're a rich kid. And there's a little bit. Quint he's everything that he says he is until, we get the explanation of why with his story about the Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he's very.
I like his line, here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
I'm not sure what that means.
No, I got a giggle from that.
Yeah.
Another thing to look up.
Yeah, like I think I can piece together that it means
the context.
something.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, okay, all right.
Yeah, but the fact when he says that, when he cheers, I'm like,
right.
Okay.
I hate how he's just jeering and mocking at Brody's wife before they take off.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm.
And like he tells the limerick about the old woman, and he's just like staring at her. I'm like, Brody, why are you antagonistic towards this woman? Like,
yeah,
it's very much like, hey, this is the boys' club. Get out of here.
Right. That's very much what it feels like.
The sea ain't no place for a dame. So yeah, Quint is like, I'm gonna kill this shark, but I'm gonna do it for $10,000. And you're gonna pay me. You're buying me a color TV.
That's right. Yeah. Solo at first.
Yeah. And it's curious to me that they just don't go to the Quint, the shark killer, to begin with.
I know. Well, right. And then when we get the tiger shark.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I'm going to try to explain this and it probably doesn't mean anything, but like I'm looking at this shark and I'm like, there's no way this shark did all of that damage. I mean, it's not a small shark, but it's not like a large shark.
Right.
And it's just the townspeople wanting to believe like, hey, we caught something. This has to be it.
Well,
we're going to turn the blind eye, right? But like when you looked at that shark, I mean, it's clear that that's not the shark.
See, I mean, I'm not a big shark guy, so I wouldn't. If you showed me that shark and said this ate a little boy, I'd be like, okay.
A little boy, a girl, an 18-year-old woman, I should say, and a dog.
And ripped a dock apart.
And those two jabronis chumming.
Yeah.
I'm using my wife's roast. Better do something. I was like,
that was like
stupid.
Very, very stupid. Great scene though.
No, it's great, but it's stupid.
Like we mentioned, there's so much behind the scenes stuff, and one of the things is how the 3 mechanical sharks that they had were not operating correctly. And so we have to do a lot of things that hint at the shark. Supposedly, though, Spielberg said he didn't want to show the shark that much.
I mean, it's so much more scary. It's so much scarier when you don't see it or if you just see a fin.
Yeah, and it's creative.
Yes.
It's creative to see a dock go out, 50 feet, and then the dock spins around and then starts coming back. That's more interesting than just seeing a shark go out 50 feet and then turn around.
Right.
So a shark can be more than a shark if you're not seeing it all the time.
Yes.
I love Quint's giant fishing rod.
Wow.
That he clips into one side and then clips into the other side.
I had like PTSD watching that because that's what my dad used to catch the marlin. That made me. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you would be willing to tell the story.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have told it, but if it's been a while, we were on a family vacation 24 years ago in Hawaii. And my dad was like, let's do a fishing trip. And we're like, okay, cool. So we go out on a private fishing charter. And I catch the first fish, which is a tuna.
Nice.
And we're like, wow, okay. That tuna caught a 418-pound marlin, 12 foot, and my dad had to sit in the seat with the long fishing rod, like locked in, and it took like almost 2 hours to pull this fish in.
Oh my goodness.
They don't eat marlin. It's just for sport. And so when the marlin finally got close, they dragged it in. The captain, dragged it in and then took a metal bat and beat the fish, and the water turned red, just like in Jaws, that red.
Wow.
And then brought the fish onto the boat. And then he was so proud when we got to the dock. And then my dad has a picture of it, and I stopped eating meat that night.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was like, I will never, ever, ever forget those visuals. Ever.
Wow. Wow.
And I didn't even eat fish at the time. It was just like, that's it. I can't do
Right.
this. And I was 13.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the whole time I've known you, you've been vegetarian.
Yeah, I know. I mean, most people in my life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle's
friendship
AIM
wise.
name was Veggie Burger Burp,
That's right.
which is
Wow.
kind of gross.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of weird AIM names.
Sure. We all did.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my AIM names was Life Really Rocks.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
And I don't know why, because that's not me at all.
Well, you're probably doing it to be ironic.
That sounds about right.
I had a ho-hum boink. I had you disheveled Urker. I was like really obsessed with the dictionary, so I would just like look up words and string them together. Oh, I had the power of tomato.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a good one. The power of tomato.
Well, I mean, that was the thing back then. You wanted to be the first kid on the block to have a random line from The Simpsons or...
Yeah, right.
One of my favorites, a mutual friend from high school that I never really talked to that much, but her screen name was Zigga Zig Ah.
Oh, it's so good.
It is so
it's
good.
so good.
It's so good that to this day, I'm like, I wish.
Oh, man. Missed opportunity.
I wish that I could have gone back in time and been Zigga Zig
Same.
Ah.
Oh, it's so good.
Hey, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Subject line, screen name. Let us know your old screen names.
I love that. Please send that. Please.
Yeah. So Robert Shaw, actor, playwright, he's drinking on set when he sings that song that I've been breaking into. Supposedly that's not in the script. No one wrote that. He forgot a line and broke into that song because several years prior to being in Jaws, Robert Shaw starred in a television show called The Buccaneers. And in that show, he sings that song.
And so the other two just know it?
Well, it became part of the movie.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
So you can see there's a great little YouTube video that plays Robert Shaw singing it as a younger person in The Buccaneers and then in Jaws.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So it just became part of the movie.
I like that.
I already said my favorite moment was with Scheider, but really my favorite moment is the Indianapolis story. How did you feel about that?
Okay. So we're exchanging, look at me, mine's better, mine's worse story, peacocking, right?
Yep.
And then he tells his story and I zoned out.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, guys. I'm just being honest with you. And then I tuned back in and I was like, did I grasp this? Maybe.
So it's a true story.
Okay.
USS Indianapolis goes to deliver the Hiroshima bomb.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they're taken down by a Japanese boat. For days, they're just like in the water getting eaten by sharks. And so Quint makes a lot more sense when you realize as a super young dude, because this is 1975. For all intents and purposes, Jaws is taking place, current day, right?
Yeah.
And so we're talking back in like 1945, 1944. So Quint would have been 30 years younger. Robert Shaw in real life died when he was 51.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So super young kid. and just all of his friends and shipmates are getting eaten by sharks all around him. And so he goes back home and becomes a shark killer. And that's like, he's got all the trophies all around his domicile, and he's just drinking all the time and angry. But the one thing that he's good at is killing sharks.
And he'll also never wear a life preserver.
And he'll never wear a life preserver.
Oh, I got the story. I actually remember all of that.
Yeah.
The faith has been restored.
There you go. Yeah. And it's a great finishing line where he says, anyway, we delivered the bomb.
We delivered the,
yes. Takes the drink. Yeah. Quint is crazy. He destroys their radio.
Well, no more involvement. Don't you dare.
It becomes like, all three men are out there to find this shark for seemingly different reasons. And with Quint, it's like he can't even be bothered to have help. Like, he doesn't even want to take them. He wants to do it by himself to begin with.
Right.
Were you surprised when he died?
I wasn't. I felt like, even though the way he dies is not the way I thought, but like when he says, I will not wear a life preserver, to me, I'm like, you have a death wish.
Right.
You will get eaten by this shark. You will, because you're just, it's almost like you feel you're better, but you also have this respect with what will be. And if I go down, I go down, and I don't want any help or assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I feel like the way he goes out, wow, that's brutal.
And again, very unsentimental on Spielberg's part.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here's this guy who just, delivered this incredible monologue about the horrors of war and sharks, and now we're just gonna chomp him in half.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he's gonna scream and blood come from his mouth, and yeah. The first time that I watched this, and Dreyfuss mentions the tanks, he's like, careful with these. If you mess around with them, they'll blow up. And I said to myself, they're not going to blow up this shark. That's insane.
Nope.
And then at the end, I was like, oh my God, they blew up this shark.
Why didn't they just try to do that the first time?
Which time?
The very first time that the three guys are on the ship and we're like circling the shark is circling them. Also, the music choice during that, like, it does not fit. And it does not fit, but.
Well, I think that's where this starts to straddle the lines of what we think of as traditional horror, because again, it's adventure music.
But like the music is so good throughout this entire film, truly, and like tonal wise. And then we get to that part, and it's like, why are we? No, this doesn't fit for me. Anyway, why didn't we try to blow up the shark then? We're just trying to shoot it.
I think Quint has developed this whole like system for how to get sharks.
Yes.
Barrels.
Yes.
Making it so that they can't dive down too deep because the barrels will hold them up.
Correct. Right.
And then I don't know if from there he would just like tow it in closer and then shoot it in the head.
But like they very quickly discover, like, one, they're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
We get the line. And then after like shooting it multiple times, we're realizing, why aren't we just blowing it up? Like
special shark, man.
Yeah, but like
three barrels. I know, it's still going. They're unheard of.
Sure.
But no shark has ever 3-barreled before.
But the goal is to just get your $10,000, and Hooper won some pictures. So like, get it close, get your picture, and then blow it up.
Yeah, I mean, he might be like, we need to kill this shark and tow it in.
Yeah, so then we can
proof.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like those cans are just like a last resort.
Yeah, it is interesting. Because one guy earlier has like dynamite.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like, bring a stick of dynamite with you, or at least more guns. Like,
right. And then you have Brody using his small little handgun.
Yeah.
It's like, are you just trying? Because at that point, you're like, I guess.
Yeah. This is where I would have been more sentimental than Spielberg. As Quint is getting chomped, I would have had Quint with that machete, giving that shark the what for, just chopping and hacking and hurting it.
As he's going down?
Yeah, but he doesn't really get too many licks in as he's going down. He's just chomped in half, man.
Yeah, it just becomes like a story of the seas. The great Quint.
So leaving the water for a bit, Murray Hamilton as Mayor Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about him?
He loves a pattern.
Yeah.
And I know I said I feel he's the real villain. And I get he's trying to keep his town afloat and tourism is very important. But really, I think what disturbed me was when he went up to that couple. I guess they were grandparents.
Gosh.
And he's like, get in the water. What are you doing? Get in
Yes.
the water. I did not like that. And I was like, you
Yes.
suck, sir. And just brushing off the urgency and of this situation. So I didn't care for him.
Yeah, he's pretty rough. I love that they, Murray Hamilton is a good actor. He gets a good range here of emotions to show. But I like that they didn't go for just like a super, super traditional, handsome used car salesman type guy for Mayor Vaughn. He's like pretty much that.
Yeah.
But he's not like, young and like a Don Draper type.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody is doing a really good job in this movie. And I think he did do a really good job of playing Larry. It's just frustrating, obviously, knowing as the audience.
So there's some awesome shots in this movie. We get a few split diopter shots, and then probably the most famous dolly zoom of all time when Scheider's on the beach and the kid starts to get killed and it zooms in on him. It's great. It's such a oh no.
You know what one of my favorite scenes is? Towards the beginning when they're on that like little ferry with the one car.
Yeah.
And it's a stationary shot.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's moving and changing, but actually it's just the background. And it almost feels like it's in real time because we're going from one side to the other side of the island. And the conversation is taking place aligned to left. I love it.
Interesting.
It was really that for some reason I was like really taken with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great. I love that little scene because it's like reminded me of like Argane or like Little Rascals.
Yeah.
It's like the whole gang comes by to convince Alfalfa not to do something.
Right. But
silly.
It's so silly. But the way that shot, like that was such an interesting choice to have the conversation taking place to the left, but it's just this one stationary shot. It was really good. It's really good.
I like the underwater shots in this because we as the audience don't know whose POV we're in.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't know that it's always meant to be the shark's POV. And so that makes it more scary.
Yeah.
Because we don't know if someone's about to get eaten or if that's just the camera. That's just the view that we have right now.
I want to talk about the cage scene.
Sure.
When Hooper goes down and that whole, really, it's like a fight with the shark. And he gets out and he hides, but then we see the shark tangled up in the cage. Yeah. Whoa. I don't even really have words to describe that, but like that really like gave me anxiety. And I actually liked seeing that because I felt really real of like an animal getting caught up in, something man-made like that.
Yeah. So that was a real shark during that moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They alternated between real sharks and not real sharks. And that was a real one. So it really was tangled up.
That shark got tangled up because.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good. I don't like that.
So did that remind you of Creature from the Black Lagoon with the whole We'll just poison it and make it go to sleep.
Yes. And then my big question from this is, if we just stayed out of the water and the shark wasn't caught up in movement, because that's what draws the shark in to
Yep.
eat,
Yep.
would have this shark just gone on its merry way?
It's possible, and I think the movie is trying to communicate to us that like there's something wrong with this shark.
Yeah, like
to,
he's
like-
out for it, right? He's got a
He's-
vengeance. He's smart.
Yeah, he's out of his element. He's a shark who's not supposed to be in this area, and he's like developed a taste for human flesh
Yeah.
and almost like a rabid animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I saw one review that was like, of course, Americans can't figure out a way to fix the problem without just killing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, that's true. Like, why not just call the Coast Guard and get a bigger net and redirect the shark or
Money.
anything?
Money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the shark, it's great. I don't think it looks bad in any of the shots, even when we're really on it. We don't really see it for about half the movie. It's about an hour in that we really start to see it. And I think it's great. Looks great. And if I didn't know all the behind the scenes stuff, I would never know that they had all these technical problems.
Yeah. I mean, I think it looks great. And I think it really holds up too.
Absolutely.
Like this movie looks so good.
I think you can say like, it doesn't look like a real shark but I'm like, yeah, but that's this shark.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's practical, right? It's not
practical.
CGI. So
Yeah. Give it to us.
that's right.
Quick shout out to Spielberg's first, it's a made for TV movie, but feature length, Duel.
Yeah. What is this Duel? Tell me what Duel is.
It's like a road rage story about a guy in a car and a guy in a semi is like chasing him. Very similar vibes to Jaws in that like you don't see the driver a whole lot. I would really highly recommend it to anyone. It's one of the films of his that I just unabashedly love. And he made it, a few years prior to Jaws. And you can see just the innovative mind at work on this like very low budget movie. And like, how do you make a guy alone in his car driving so tense and so scary? And he manages to do it, which is a curious thing about Spielberg. He does Duel, he does Jaws, he did an episode of The Night Gallery. He does the Sugarland Express, which isn't a horror movie, but leading up to Jaws, you could say like, oh, he's mostly directed horror thriller type stuff. So it's interesting kind of where he goes after this. Yeah. So this movie was made for $9 million. I think the original budget was $3 million. Goes on to make $477 million. The box office. This was the first movie to make over $100 million domestic.
Wow.
So it's the most successful movie ever made, up to the point that it's made. And I think Spielberg was like 27.
Jeez.
Can't imagine.
Wow.
It's got 97 on Rotten Tomatoes, 4 average on Letterboxd, 87 on Metacritic. This was included in the National Film Registry in 2001. Kind of surprised that it didn't make it in earlier.
Like it took that long, huh?
Yeah. Ebert gave it 4 stars. And I didn't write down the production days, but
it went over.
It went way over. About half a year. Yeah. So I'm going to go to a segment of the show where we talk about what we would cut, what we would edit, and what we would keep. It's called What the Keck. All right, so do you have your keck ready?
I do.
All right, keck it up.
Okay, so I don't think anything really needs to be cut in this movie. I think things can be trimmed, and especially coming from an eye where I have to like create content for social media, and it's very much like in this you have to get it in the certain time frame, like 90 seconds or 6, depending on where you're posting. So it's like always just like skimming off a tiny bit just to make it fit. I would do that. Or even though the two guys chumming and the dock gets ripped off, even though that looks great, if I had to cut, I would cut that.
Yeah.
Editing, like I said, I'm choosing different music for that initial scene of the three guys on the boat because it does not fit for me tonally. That we need to make a change there. And then I'm absolutely keeping the shark tangled up in that scuba dive tank
Nice.
cage. Yeah, because keeping that.
I agree with you on cutting. There's just so much smart lines being said. There's so many smart, cool little moments. I think I agree with you. I think that if anything is going to be cut, it's going to be that scene on the dock because it's barely mentioned. And that's
right.
somewhat frustrating thing about this is like all these crazy things keep happening and it's like no one is like centralizing the information to be like, we need to do something. You know what that feels like? That feels like footage that you would cut into a trailer for the movie that never actually makes it into the movie.
Right.
And you could be like, come see this. Come see Jaws.
Right.
It's going to be awesome.
It's promotional material.
Yes. Editing, I would edit down a lot of the stuff with Hooper just because I don't really find him to be that interesting. Some of the stuff when they're like going through the stomach of the tiger shark, some of the stuff on the boat at night when they're drunk. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't really care about this too much. And then I'm keeping everything with Scheider and his family. And maybe adding a little more. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Your kid went into shock and is in the hospital because he was almost eaten by a shark on 4th of July. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of just leave that.
Yeah.
We know he's okay, but then we can move on.
He can watch television.
That's right. He wants coffee too. I love that the kid requested coffee.
Yes. So we asked some friends on Twitter what they thought. Nick at Bad Movies We Love.
Hey, friend.
Hey, Nick. You know, I did a show with Nick.
Did you? Tell us, Seth.
We covered each episode of X-Men 97. It's called X-Friends. It's fun. Probably return when the show returns.
Cool. Check it out.
Because Nick and I don't do enough stuff, so...
Just add it on.
He says, my love of Jaws is boundless. I watch it every 4th of July, and I've seen it probably 100 times now. It's one my mom showed me in childhood, and each time I watch, there's some small, wonderful choice that draws my attention and connects me to her.
Oh.
I could talk Jaws for days. And then a heart emoji, a shark emoji, and a boat emoji.
Oh, I love the use of emojis.
Yes. Desert of the Real podcast, REEL, at Desert of Real Pod, says, it was always my dad's favorite, so I have seen it many times growing up. The shot of the shark going for the guy's leg is truly one of the most horrifying shots in all cinema to me.
Mm-hmm.
It truly is a perfect movie. Impressive camera movements, positioning, and iconic score. Paul Muad'Dib.
Dune Buggy.
At Trig Raptor.
Hey, Paul.
Who, by the way, was the patron who nominated this movie.
Oh, my goodness.
So congrats, Paul.
Congrats.
Says, for some reason, I was allowed to watch this as a kid, and it's traumatized me for life.
Mm-mm.
By the way, almost all of these comments, you will notice a similar theme. Alex Mitchell, at ALED Mitch, says, as a kid, I thought Martha's Vineyard was owned by Martha Stewart.
Same. I think we all did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And hearing about Martha's Vineyard as a kid, I don't know why, but I was just like, is Martha's Vineyard like the fanciest place on earth?
That's also what I thought too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't imagine beaches. I imagined a vineyard.
So did I. And like white picket fences.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And Martha Stewart's there, and she's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
welcome to my vineyard.
Right. Yeah.
It's a good Martha Stewart
That was
impersonation.
great. Wow.
Yeah. Danielle Schomber at D. Schomber.
Hey, D.
says,
Schomber.
My earliest movie memory is walking in on my dad and older brother watching Quint get ripped to shreds by Bruce the Shark.
No, my God.
Jaws will forever be near and dear to my heart.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
What a thing to walk into.
Hmm.
Joe at the_other_JB_. Josie.
Yeah.
She says, when I was little, my dad used to tell a story of the time he saw this in theaters with some friends. And during the scene where you first see the shark jump out of the water, the jump scare got him so bad that he elbowed the guy next to him in the mouth and knocked a tooth out.
Oh my God. I don't mean to laugh. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's insane. Wow.
And then last but not least, Sean Shank
Hey, friend.
at Tyler_Burnham says, first E.T., then Raiders of the Lost Ark, Hook, and now Jaws. You've covered 4 Spielberg movies, the most of any director. You haven't even hit some of his biggest films yet. What do you think that says about him?
He has range. Take it away, Seth.
I think Sean is trying to get me to say that he's a great director.
Yeah, I know where it's going. That's why I want you to take it away.
I'm not going to say that. So
yeah.
No, I mean, I've said it before. Spielberg is one of the most important American directors of all time, and incredibly influential. Just not to me,
Directly, I think.
Yeah, but very. It's not really that surprising to me that we've done 4 movies from him, and I could think of at least 3 more that I wouldn't be surprised if we covered.
Are you going to share them with the class?
Well, Jurassic Park.
Oh, right. Duh.
Yeah, Jurassic Park is
That's a big one.
I also wouldn't be surprised if we did Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not,
Why
because
not?
I saw that and I hated it and I'm not sitting through that again. I have nothing to say about it and it is so boring. Do not make me watch it. I will quit Movie Friends.
So I was actually in the same boat as you. I had very negative memories of Close Encounters. And then I watched it again and I was like, oh, this movie actually rules. Because it's a great look at like someone who's just obsessed and like their life falls apart because of their obsession.
Good for them.
Yes.
Find a friend to cover that with you. I'm not watching that again. Life is too short for me to watch a movie I really did not like.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah. And then, yeah, like Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan, but we don't really do war movies. So,
yeah.
So there's some people that we do know. Now we go to a segment of the show where we hear from people that we don't know. It's called Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. Half Star, 3-Star, 5-Star. All right, so these are reviews from letterboxd.com, which is an app and a website where you can log, rate, and review movies. We start with a 1/2-star review, which is the lowest rating that you can give a movie. And we go all the way up to a 5-star review, which is the highest rating that you can give a movie. And for the 1/2-star review, do you have a request?
I do. Can you read it like a local? Have that like Boston accent?
Well, the Boston,
Can I share something with you?
Yeah.
So I'm watching Cheers. This is my new show that I'm watching.
Yeah.
And did you ever watch it?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a character named Cliff, and he's a postal worker. And then
Cliff Clavin.
Correct. And then there's Norm. You know Norm. Everybody knows Norm. Anyway, so I've been watching it before bed, and the compromise with Aunt and I, so he can go to sleep, is he puts on an eye mask and I wear my AirPods, and that way the sound doesn't disturb him. However, I'm trying to nail down the way Cliff says Norm. And so it'll be silent, and then you just hear me go, Nom! Nami! Every night. I am trying to nail down the accent, and then Aunt has to turn to me and be like, "You know, I can hear." Like, it's silent, and then you just hear "nom, nami, nami, nom." So I've been
I know
obsessed with it.
I know that voice because he does a lot of voiceover work.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yeah,
P.T. Flea from Bug's Life.
Yes, and he was in Toy Story too.
Yeah.
Yeah, nom, nom.
Yeah, I feel like I can't really do a Boston accent.
It's like caw. I love how Mrs. Brody calls him out in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
I think when we do Boston, we make it so long. So we'll say like, oh, the keys are in the car.
Ka.
But when they talk, they say the keys in the car.
Right.
It's fast. It's real
Yes.
quick.
Nom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Nom. Nom.
Yeah.
Nami. Nom.
But because we're like emphasizing that they're not.
Right.
So I can try to do. I don't know that Robert Shaw is even doing like a New England accent. I don't even know what he's doing.
No, he's not.
You know me. You know how I make my living.
Is that what you're going to try to do, Quint?
Sharking.
You could just do like an Islander.
These you've been counting money all your life. These are city hands.
I feel like this is like you have your wordish guy, and then you have this voice. You've done this.
Well, listeners, very few people remember that the whole reason this segment started is because I'm not good at impersonations.
Yeah.
I'm not the man of 1,000 voices. I'm the man of like 2.
You can do a good Kermit, or no? Who do you do? You do a good what is it? There's a. It's getting late, and I have no.
This month
food.
I've been doing Seymour.
Yes. But you did
Feed me.
you did a really good accent last year.
Oh, once?
I don't remember. Anyway, okay, go ahead. Read it however
All
you
right.
want to read it.
Well, okay. What is an Islander to you?
It's with the accent.
The ah?
Yeah.
I. How would an Islander say the word I?
Nami, no. I have to channel
Your
Cliff.
one point of reference is Norm.
It's Cliff.
Everything comes out of how Cliff says Norm.
That's how it starts.
Okay. So Half Star Review says, I hated it. Ruined the reputation of sharks everywhere. If I could go back in time and make it so this film never existed, I would. Sharks are not villains, and in this movie was evil for them.
Good job. It was fun watching your jaw go all over the place.
Yeah.
It's like Jim Carrey in The Mask.
So I never put 2 and 2 together that this movie would be bad for sharks.
That's insane to me.
I never considered it.
I think maybe because you don't like the ocean or animals.
Possible.
So you didn't even think of like their point of view. Like this just
To
gives
me,
them
a shark
bad
is a
rap.
bad guy.
No.
Yeah. Except for who were those sharks? Never mind. They're street sharks? Do you remember street sharks from the 90s?
Did they wear jackets?
They were like
and sunglasses?
Huh? No, they were sharks and they wore like Jenko jean shorts and they had like big muscles and maybe like sweatbands around their arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, street sharks.
I think those sharks were good.
Mm.
But to me, like, I don't know, a shark is bad. A shark's biting people, yeah, you go kill it.
No.
But it turns out I'm wrong.
Very wrong. Yeah.
3-star review says, this is going to sound so dumb, but I think I'm too much of a shark lover for this film. Bruce did nothing wrong. I already knew they were going to kill him, but I'm still so upset about it. I love that the boat that they were on was called the Orca because orcas eat great white sharks. That's a fun little thing.
That is a fun little thing. Whales are so dope.
Whales, I mean, so much of the ocean, really, but whales are like aliens. Whales and octopus and cuttlefish. Oh my
Oh
god.
my God, a cuttlefish.
Cuttlefish are
Whoa, what a face. Only a mother could love. And so interesting, right? Like sharks are fish, but whales are mammals.
yeah. It's wild.
Did you ever
It's
see a
really, really
shark
wild.
egg? Shark eggs are crazy looking.
No, I don't think so.
They're all spirally.
A spirally egg. Oh, it looks like a turd and a pine cone mixed together. Looks
To
like
me,
a
it
turd
looks like
cone.
a screw. It looks like a screw, but okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
5-star review says, "Is it weird to call this the best edited film ever? If not that, at least that I've ever seen. Every shot is exactly where it's supposed to be and cuts at precisely the moment it needs to. Every sound, every musical and dramatic moment too. And in terms of shot composition, I really don't think this could be improved upon either. Each scene designed for maximum dramatic impact. As exciting as ever. The perfect summer blockbuster. Wouldn't change a thing."
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we rate a film as a schmovie, a movie, or a film. We rate it 1 through 5 stars and give our recommendations. You want to go first?
Sure.
All right. So I guessed for you, and this is a conservative guess. Just remember, I put down 4.5 movie.
You're right.
Wow.
Oh my, like literally.
Wow.
Look at that. 4.5 movie written down on my
Wow.
notes for myself.
I'm on fire.
Wow, Seth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is great. I'm recommending it. This is so enjoyable. And going into it, we've been covering these Universal monster movies that are like an hour and change. And
Yeah.
so this one's over 2 and I'm like, "Oh man, I didn't even look at the clock once. This is great."
Oh, good.
Yeah, I
Good.
love the way this looks. I think there's some shots even that to me make it as my own personal rating system of film, but this is truly a movie and it's still extremely scary. So,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely recommending it.
Is this the closest that you and I have done to a horror movie?
Well, no, because we talked about Army of Darkness.
Yeah, but we talked about how that's not really. That's like a comedy.
I mean, we've covered, I feel like, so many horror movies at this point. Not
Really?
so many. No, that are labeled as a horror movie, but really
Jennifer's
they're not.
Body.
Right? Oh,
That was
wow.
early on. We did
I-
Jennifer's Body, and you were like, "Is this a horror movie?"
I have like no recollection of that,
Oh my god, I love
which
that
is
movie
such a
so
shame.
much.
I know you love
Oh,
it.
I love it.
What a shame. I have no recollection of that. Adam Brody's in it. That's what I remember. And
I'm
Megan
not killing
Fox.
people. I'm killing boys.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, for you, I did end up writing down 3.5 movie.
Okay. All right. So that was my original rating when I saw this for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And watched Jaws twice, thought about it a whole lot, and I'm gonna bump it up to a whole 4 stars.
Man, I had 4 and I.
So I'm gonna call this a 4-star movie. I don't know that I recommend this if you haven't seen it.
What do
Well,
you mean?
And here's my thinking here. Almost everyone who responded to us on Twitter connected this movie to their childhood. And so many people that I read reviews from or listened to them talk about it, they connected it to their childhood. I don't know that Jaws is Jaws if you don't experience it as a kid. And I don't mean that in any negative way. I don't.
I disagree with you because I didn't experience this as a kid, and to me, this is Jaws.
Well, I didn't experience it as a kid, and to me, it's not Jaws.
I think this is part of movie history, and this should be watched.
For that alone, yes. And for more Roy Scheider. Roy Scheider rules.
Well, sure. You're a Schneider head, so there you go.
Ride or Scheider.
There you
that's
go.
me. I should get that tattoo, actually.
You should.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to get a tattoo of us, we'd love it if you give us a rating and a review wherever you're listening. Hey, rate us 5 stars. Hey, give us a comment. Who knows? I don't know. Something, right?
Please.
Also, send us an email, moviefriendspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of Jaws. Let us know what you thought of us talking about Jaws. Actually, please don't. Don't be mad at me, please. Just be happy that Michelle loved it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, send us an email, whatever you're thinking of. We just like to hear from people. If you're going back and listening to old episodes, let us know what you think.
What's a episode you would love to hear feedback on?
Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was so proud of that episode, honestly.
Why?
I don't know. I just had a good time talking about it.
You remember that?
Yeah, Rocky Horror Picture Show, definitely. E.T., I actually think was a good, fun episode. Clueless, we were joined by Liz
Yeah.
to talk about Clueless. That was one that I liked.
Yeah. Okay.
No, not so much.
No, yeah. I think our Back to the Future episodes are fun because I was trying to figure it out.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
John Wick with my mom.
Oh, that is such a good one.
That's
That
fun.
is just
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
Yeah. And hey, if you like that episode, sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. I do a whole series with my mom. Right now we're talking about the movies of Fast and the Furious. And by the time this episode comes out, we will just have covered Fast and Furious 7.
Wow, what a journey.
It's been a real journey of like revelation for me as a movie guy watching these movies.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
Okay.
It's actually been one of the most like eye-opening things since starting Movie Friends for me. Doing these movies with my mom. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm not going to waste time, but you need to send me a short summary of why.
Sure. Absolutely. But yeah, patreon.com/moviefriendspodcast. You get access to that series. You get the Space Jam live show. You also get our Freaks and Geeks series, Studio Ghibli series, Super Amazing Film Club, where we talk about people that we love, about movies that they love. You get our Quentin Tarantino, one director at a time, going through his whole filmography. You get you also get That's Messed Up, where I talk about movies that are messed up with my wife. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff on there. You also get to vote on upcoming movies, just like Jaws. We did not do Jaws. This is, I think, the third go around with doing this movie. And I don't know when we would have done it if the patrons hadn't voted for it. So,
Yeah, I mean, the fact that this almost was our live show, that idea that we talked about.
I know.
And then we passed by it and we're like, nope.
Nope. All right. Next month, we say goodbye to Monst-ober.
Goodbye, Monst-ober. I loved you dearly. This is probably one of my favorite months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to really brainstorm for next October now.
Oh, I think I'll come up with something. Yeah. Okay. No worries there.
I say we do Dolltober.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, Seth.
All horror movies about dolls.
Peace out. Michelle's done.
Chucky.
No.
The Boy. Puppet Master. There's one about like no strings or something about a ventriloquist. I can't remember what that's called. No, that's a different one. Don't Speak. I don't know. Some ventriloquist doll horror movie.
No.
Anyway, that's not what we're doing next month though. So earlier this year, in May, we did a theme called Michelle, which was all movies picked by Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fun. And so to balance the scales, because there's two of us here, my birthday month is November. And so we're doing, what are we calling it?
I don't know. It's funny though, because my birthday wasn't in May. It's just that we needed
Michelle. Yeah. Michelle. It just sounded.
It sounded better. It works. Yeah. But yeah, what do you?
Well, I think your birthday month was a patron month, right?
Yeah, maybe. what do you want to call your month, Seth? Like next month is all about Seth, and I'm really excited. It is Seth, 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 Seth. Let's celebrate Seth.
Seth-vember?
Seth-vember.
Yeah, I guess we'll just call it Seth-vember.
I like it. So exciting. It's your month.
Yep. So it's all movies that I'm picking, but I'm going to try to do what Michelle did, which was like a movie from my childhood, a movie from later-ish. Yeah, it's going to be all... so there's no real theme except for I love all of these movies. And
You're the theme.
yeah, this is the theme. This is the month to understand my psyche.
I'm so excited.
And to start it off, we're doing a movie that I truly love. We're doing Heavyweights from 1995, directed by Stephen Brill, the great Stephen Brill. It's 100 minutes long, and it's currently streaming on Disney+.
Awesome. I can't
Have
wait.
you seen Heavyweights?
Yes, I have. It's
Okay.
been a while though, so this will be
Yes.
a joy to revisit.
Yes. So this is like my childhood pick. Could
This-
have gone a lot of different ways, but
Yeah.
you know, we've already covered Clifford.
Oh my God. You know, though, I wonder if I were to watch that 2 years into podcasting with you and not under COVID, I wonder how I would have felt. I probably would have hated it, but I wonder how I would have felt.
Hey, you never know. There's never been a better time than Seth-vember to revisit Clifford.
No, please. Is that imagine if it's every week we're watching Clifford?
I would love to do that. Oh my God. I would actually love to just put out one episode that month. And just each week we watch it and talk about it 4 times and then compile it all into one big episode.
For you, I would do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Only for you. Uh-huh.
All right. Well, thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks, patrons.
Yes, thank you very much. Jaws, we did it.
We did it.
All right, until next time, when we're talking about Heavyweights from 1995, jumping into Seth-vember. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good one.
Movie Friends is produced by Seth Vargas and Michelle Rubenstein. Music by Anthony Vicora. If you like the show, please subscribe and give us a rating. It really helps us find new friends. Thanks!